I want to talk about a video that I've seen online. It was popping up online on different channels. There's a governing body update about education, and people are now all of a sudden there is a change. Now all of a sudden they're allowed to have education, and I was like, okay, which video is that? And I found it, and I really want to watch it. I actually want to watch it right now. So let's go. Let's start it. It's quite a long video actually, but it's not as long as a broadcasting. I don't know if you ever seen a broadcasting. Maybe I need to make a video about that as well. But I'm gonna watch it. It's from the governing body updates.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our program. Today, we're going to talk about secular education. Are you interested?
So I want to talk about, well, okay, it started off, they're going to talk about secular education. I'm going to put the meaning into this video. I think it means that you can do, I don't know what it means actually. I'm sorry. It's like my English isn't that good sometimes, so I'm sorry if I don't know.
Now, for the rest of our update, we're going to talk about secular education. And we'll be speaking primarily to young ones and their parents, although we all can benefit from this information. Many young people are asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? Of course, the best career is a life in full-time service. Even so, full-time servants need to support themselves financially. In some places, it's possible to earn a decent living without getting further education. In other lands, additional education is required if you hope to find employment that has reasonable hours and that pays fairly well. In such cases, a brother or sister may wonder, should I get additional education?
Okay, just to react on it, you see his face. Yeah, just to react on it, well, it's not allowed, right? And now they're talking about it. He says that you don't necessarily need an education to make money, to pay your rent or whatever, those types of things. That's not what he said, but that's basically what he's talking about. And but it's convenient, it's very convenient. It's actually really good. In some places you cannot, at least you cannot, well, in my experience, at least you cannot have no experience. If you have no experience, a lot of companies, businesses don't want to have people that are not educated, have some experience or like a good amount of experience, like minimal 2 years, to have a job in the area that they want to work in, So in some cases, yeah, you can make money without education. And the other side, I absolutely tell people, young people, they're talking about young people, to get an education, and you're not really getting much out of the Jehovah's Witness stuff, and they're recognizing it, that they're acknowledging that there's not much to gain from the Jehovah's Witness stuff, and you don't really get money out of it. It's just spiritual, and yeah, what is the motivation for young people? I don't know. What is the motivation for young people to step into the Jehovah's Witness stuff? Is it spiritual? Is it a spiritual? I don't know. Is it of course they are spiritually feeling spiritually inclined. I don't know. Being saved by God, the fear of not being saved, or like not being recognized by God. Okay, let's move on.
So, what type? Now, what do we mean by additional education? This refers to any secular education or training beyond the basic education provided by the government. It includes courses offered by universities, colleges, apprenticeships, trade schools, technical schools, vocational training, short courses, and continuing education. Is it appropriate for Christians to pursue additional education?
Yeah, like further education, higher education, educating yourself, also small courses and stuff. They were not allowed. You know, back in the day, they were not allowed, not at all. And I feel a little bit of undertone, but I think I'm going to talk about it later. Not now. I'm going to move on.
With this update, we'd like to clarify our understanding. While there are dangers involved in pursuing certain forms of education, basically, whether to obtain additional education or not is a matter for personal decision. At Galatians 6:5, the Bible says, "For each one will carry his own load of responsibility." So, each adult must make his or her own decision on whether to obtain additional education. Parents are also responsible for decisions regarding their child's education, and their guidance can prepare their child to make wise decisions regarding education once he's an adult. How can we make good decisions when considering additional education? Each adult Christian, and in the
Okay, I just want to. I feel an undertone, and I want to talk about it. And it's also a personal feeling, and it's a collective feeling. I know, I'm sure of it. Is that it kind of makes me. It makes me angry seeing this, because I know that a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses were not allowed to have their education, to learn further in their life, to become whatever they wanted to be. And they didn't have the experience, or they didn't have the example. They didn't have the example of parents actually doing something, because they were not allowed. They were not allowed to do it. And then they come up with a very beautiful text in the Bible, in a Bible verse that says, like, well, you have to decide for yourself. But then that is not something that is. It doesn't apply to everything, you know. It doesn't apply to everything that is done, being said. So it's very confusing again, and it makes me a little angry. Actually, I gotta say, this is groundbreaking news when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses. This is very common in the world, you know, but it's not common with Jehovah's Witnesses. It kind of infuriates me inside. I just feel boiling, something a little bit boiling, because I know how many people, or like I know that so many people were not allowed to educate themselves because Jehovah's Witnesses said so. I see people moving away from, they don't want to be Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. I see people moving away very, very soon. Sooner than later. Okay, let's go on.
In the case of minor children, each family head should prayerfully consider Bible principles and the unique factors involved with a certain educational program before making the decision. And while an elder or a mature friend may discuss with us the pros and cons about obtaining additional education, no Christian, including the elders, should judge a fellow Christian's personal decision on this matter.
Okay, so it's very important for Jehovah's Witnesses that the people, Jehovah's Witnesses, or like for the governing body in this case, it's very important that the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to listen to, like, Jehovah is number one in their life, and then comes the education maybe, or they can put it next to it, but Jehovah needs to be number one. So, but now there is a time where children can actually see a future for themselves, but then need to be careful. They need to be careful, but they are allowed to have a higher education, or like additional, or do a course or something like that. And I still think that's really good. That's a good change. But it's very, very painful for the people that never had an education and were not allowed to do so, you know?
Additional education has advantages and disadvantages. What can help you to make a wise decision? We find a good principle at Proverbs 14:15. It says in part, "The shrewd one ponders each step." Pray about it. I'm going to repeat that. Pray about it. If you're a young person, talk about it with your parents. Then consider the following steps. First, analyze your motives. Second, analyze what the education would involve. Let's discuss these one at a time. First, analyze your motives. Ask yourself, why do I want this education?
Once again, you have the governing body and the elders and everything. I really wonder how it goes, like when they change up these things, like these. I don't know when people heard this. Maybe I'm gonna make a video about it later. When it comes to what is happening with these changes, how are they going through these changes? Because the governing body says this, and how are they picking up that in kingdom halls and stuff? I really wonder about that. And so these points are getting discussed, but they're once again, that is a pattern that I see in these videos, and like in the general sense is that the elders are always in between everything you do. It's like, I want to make a choice. I want to have an additional education. I want to go to university. But first, I have to talk to my elder and Jehovah's Witnesses about this, my parents or whatever. Talk to Jehovah. You need to pray. There's always something between that. And if it can give you peace, okay. But it's never free. You know, you're never free to, like, if you have free will, you're not free to do so, you know?
Many people pursue education so they can get a job that they'll enjoy, one that pays better or has better hours. Are these motives wrong? Not necessarily. For a Christian, this could allow him to pioneer or share in other types of full-time service. However, the Bible warns us of the dangers of materialism or seeking security in this system of things. If your motive is to gain wealth or prestige, not only might you be left feeling empty, but you could also drift away from Jehovah. Nothing.
I wonder how much money this man is making with these things. I don't think he's a person that is volunteering doing this. Volunteering is doing this. He might get a lot of money, and I think he studied as well. I'm not sure about his background, but I don't know.
This. Nothing should be more important to us than serving Jehovah. So view any additional education as a way to help you support yourself while you focus your life on serving God wholeheartedly. Remember what Jesus said, as recorded at Matthew 6:33. Keep on then seeking, what's the next word? First. First, the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you. A sister named Josephina, or Josefina, who completed a course to become a beautician, came to this conclusion. She said, secular studies were a means to help me serve Jehovah as fully as possible. Education had to revolve around my spiritual goals, not the other way around.
Hold on. How is Josephina or Josefina allowed to have education? What is this story? What is this story about, actually? When did she have this education if she is not allowed to do that? What is this story? Do I have to watch it again? I don't know. Is this a bullshit story? I don't know. Let's see.
Remember what Jesus said, as recorded at Matthew 6:33. Keep on then seeking, what's the next word? First. First, the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added to you. A sister named Josephina, or Josefina, who completed a course to become a beautician, came to this conclusion. She said, secular studies were a means to help me serve Jehovah as fully as possible. Education had to revolve around my spiritual goals, not the other way around. Iris, or Iris, who completed a longer course in the dental field, says, additional education may have some advantages, but it will never give you true success and satisfaction. She adds, the formula is simple. If Jehovah is at the center of your life, then satisfaction and success are guaranteed. Yes,
Hold on. Who are these people? They're Jehovah's Witnesses and they had an education. They are not allowed to do that, right? These people are not allowed to do it. When was this update? I wonder, when was this update? When were people allowed to have a higher education, a course to do, when they were not even allowed? When? It's now, it's an update. It's an update now. Who are these people that were allowed to do this? What is this bullshit story? I don't know. Like, maybe I've missed something, I don't know, but that is total bullshit when it comes to this. This is an update. This is what is happening now. How have they already done this course before this update was coming out? I don't know.
yes are guaranteed. Yes, when our friendship with Jehovah is the most important thing in our life, we'll make decisions that result in lasting happiness.
Yeah, now I know. I know. Jehovah is number one, okay? Jehovah Ichiban.
A second step to make a wise decision is to analyze what the education would involve. Could you support yourself without further education? Many pioneers have been able to do so by finding part-time work. For example, Johanna or Johanna from Finland didn't get any additional education. She says, after school, I started working part-time in pioneering. I've had a variety of jobs, and I've seen how Jehovah always keeps his promise to provide what we need. If you and your parents discuss this well in advance, you'll have time to research different options together. You may be able to choose subjects at school that will prepare you for your future employment or education. If you're considering additional education, think about the time it will require. Will you still have time for your spiritual routine and family obligations?
One thing about this whole video is, for me, it's like they're educating. That's crazy. They're educating people like they have never lived in this world. It's like, do you know how this works? If you want to do this, this is allowed. You have to do this. It's like everybody's baby, you know? People are infuriated. I can see that happening. People are infuriated. Even I feel it. And I have been studying later on. But I see people infuriated and like, these baby steps. Who are you talking to? These people do know, I think, about education. They don't have to learn from you. And then at school, people can educate them as well. Okay, when it comes to the Jehovah's Witness stuff, it's spiritual. It's a spiritual, religious basis, of course. But then he's speaking like, but he's a little baby. I think, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. And maybe they are the baby steps in this religion, but it's it's almost, I don't know. I don't want to talk.
Would your secular studies leave you so mentally exhausted that you have no energy left for meeting preparation or personal study? What about the length? How many months or years will it take to complete? Ecclesiastes 12:1 encourages young ones, remember then your grand Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of distress come and the years are.
Everything is with Jehovah, everything. Jehovah first, then the education. So everything is Jehovah, everything is be careful of this, of that. Don't get exhausted. Don't like get into certain things. Like, of course, you have to study before studying, you know. But I don't know. It's everything is God. I wouldn't personally want that at all. But that's me. When I look at it from this point of view, yeah, it's always Jehovah. Okay.
When you will say, I have no pleasure in them. If you're young, Will the additional education allow you to give Jehovah your best, perhaps in the full-time service, while you're still young? Are there shorter education options in the same field? Think also about practical considerations like the location and the cost. You may be able to find an educational program close to.
So that means that they are allowing it now, but they really don't want you to study for your higher education, for your course or whatever. They really don't want it. It really sounds like that. Absolutely, we don't want that. We want you to put Jehovah first. Again, I don't want to repeat it all the time, but it's absolutely about that.
Home. But what if you find a program in another city? Or what if the education requires you to live on campus? Be aware that moving away from your family poses a serious spiritual danger, especially if you'll be living with relatives or others who don't share your beliefs.
Yeah, or manipulative, and also a lot of people don't even feel good within their kingdom halls and their families because they're being manipulated. They're not allowed to live and view things from their own perspective. Their elders are terrible people, maybe abusers. I don't know, like, how safe is it when you are around people anyways? Jehovah's Witnesses are just as much people as there are people around that, doesn't matter. Well, in my opinion, if your faith is strong enough, you don't have to protect yourself like that, like other people are bad.
If you choose to get additional education, could you do so while continuing to live at home with your parents and even take a course online? Remember the principle Jesus stated.
And also, they don't want you to socialize with anyone outside of the kingdom halls and the congregations or whatever. No one outside of that. You are not allowed to socialize. And then in your kingdom halls, the only people that are there are what you're getting. And maybe you don't like anybody there, It's the same as marriage. You can just marry someone that you don't know. You're just not. I don't know. It needs to be a broader world than this. But okay, Jehovah's Witnesses are where they are.
Is of lesser importance. You could even start to neglect your spiritual routine. You want to live the words of 1 Corinthians 15:58. Always, I repeat, always have plenty to do in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain. Ask yourself, what plan do I have in place to stay regular in my meeting attendance, ministry, and personal study? View yourself as a servant of Jehovah first and a student second. A sister named Samantha said, I promised myself that if my education were ever to interfere with my service to Jehovah, I would quit school. Another important safety.
Ooh, that is a very, very difficult take. Like, that is, I don't know. It doesn't get anything out of it, when you will work as a freaking, yeah, I've been talking about this before. You can work at Walmart or anything like later on in your life. There are people that are Jehovah's Witnesses, are lawyers or whatever, people that are highly educated already were before also, of course. But then what is left? How can you make your money? How do you get your money? In some countries you have loans and stuff you can live off, but it's not appreciated just because you want to serve a God. You need to make a living as well. It's not that easy nowadays. It's not that easy. So yeah, it's of course that's a choice, but I don't know. It's just I cannot wrap my head around this. I don't know. That's crazy to me. I don't know. And I was so happy when I got my own diploma. I was so happy that I got that because that's what I wanted. It was my wish to have a diploma. Because beforehand, when I was still living at home and I was with my mom and my parents, I was never motivated to do anything. Nothing. Like, I was creative as a creative girl. I was drawing and eventually was making clothes, but I was also having an education later on. And I was very proud of myself. I'm not doing anything with that anymore, but I still have the experience. I could if I needed to, but I still have the experience, you know? It gives you a lot of like, you're proud of yourself, you know? I think I was super proud of myself doing that. Because I made something happen for myself, for my future. And it was great.
Important safeguard is to protect your thinking abilities. Some courses might expose you to philosophy and empty deception, including atheism and
Oh my God, philosophy. Yeah, it's not okay to study philosophy and atheism and stuff. Atheism is a part of life. People that are atheists are a part of life. Doesn't mean necessarily you can think about it. You can be interested in the topic. You don't necessarily have to become that. Atheism and philosophy, because then you start thinking for yourself. And that's what they're afraid of. That's what they're afraid of. And yeah, everything is about right now. It almost doesn't feel like it feels like people are now. The fire comes, you know, the fire comes, everything's firing off. You can do it, you are allowed to do this, but be very careful, or else. It's always with Jehovah's Witnesses, it's a punishment to be alive. It's a complete punishment. That's how it feels to me. And I felt that as well. It's a complete punishment to be alive. That's not how I think you should feel about living as a human being.
evolution. They could also promote a spirit of self-reliance. At Proverbs 5:1 and 2, the Bible warns, guard your thinking abilities. To guard your thinking ability, make sure your Bible-based convictions are strong before you begin your additional education.
This is what I hate so much about this. You are not you're not allowed to think for yourself. We are all and you should listen to us. And the worst thing is, everybody is listening to these people. It's awful. Every Jehovah's Witness is listening to, the governing body all of a sudden came up with this shit. And now we have to listen, and we're absolutely gonna do that now. You are allowed to have an education. And you are allowed to have education, but you're not allowed to study anything. You're not anything except for Jehovah. You are allowed to study, but study for nothing, because you need to learn from Jehovah. You need to study Jehovah.
Ask yourself such questions as, why do I believe in God? What convinces me that the Bible's moral standards are best? If you proceed with additional education, continue to be a good student of God's Word. Something else that's crucial while pursuing education is time management. Education may place heavy demands on your time. If you don't manage your time wisely, you could suffer from stress or even burnout. How can you prevent that? Ephesians 5:15 is
studying when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses and not living with the people that make you happy, and God's word that doesn't add up with the people in your congregation and your kingdom hall and whatever, that is burning you out. That is making people are drinking, start using drugs. People are abusive at home. They get aggressive. They're cheating, whatever. Oh, it's so much fun. So much fun.
16 reminds us, keep strict watch, making the best use of your time. As you get additional education, regularly ask yourself, is my schedule helping me to stay balanced, physically, spiritually, and academically? Or is it time to make adjustments? A final fact.
It's time to make adjustments. Away from this beep.
Factor that will help you to remain spiritually strong is to choose your associates wisely. If you decide to get additional education, Your fellow students might try to include you in their social life. However, you need to be cautious. Although you share a classroom with your fellow students, you don't share their values. And the more
Who
time
says
you
that?
spend with them, the more their thinking can affect you.
Who says that? Who says that they are not sharing my values? I know a lot of, like I said before, I know people that are good, they have good values in their life, and they are not Jehovah's Witnesses. They're not even Christians, maybe. They have good values in their life, you know. That there are people that are good people without religion and without being a Jehovah's Witness.
The Bible warns us about the dangers of harmful association. Proverbs 13:20 says, "The one walking with the wise will become wise, but the one who has dealings with the stupid will fare badly." Every month or so, ask yourself, are
Ask yourself, are you the stupid? Walk with the stupid. The stupid are the people listening to this. And I'm happy that this happened. But the stupid are listening to this. And that is my opinion about this.
my spiritual priorities still in focus? Is my schedule balanced? Are my Bible-based convictions strong? Be alert to any warning signs and act quickly. Don't let your education keep you from giving priority to Jehovah's service. So, what have we considered? Deciding whether or not to pursue additional education is a personal matter. But remember, additional education can have spiritual risks. How can you make a wise decision? Rely on Bible principles. Prayerfully, I repeat, prayerfully analyze your motives and the type of education involved. If you're a young person, discuss the available options with your parents. If you decide to pursue additional education, what can help you to remain spiritually strong?
Once again, the parents are talking about the youngsters, the young people. The people are instructing the children because they have just learned this from the governing body. I'd be furious. I think the people are going to be pissed off so much because they couldn't have education back in the day. It's just, and then it's just, I've been watching a video about the governing body, and no, sweetheart, you have to do it like this. You have to it's all, it's, okay, I'm going to talk about that later.
Protect your thinking. Manage your time carefully. And choose your associates wisely. Always remember your goal. Your goal is not to achieve worldly success, but to bring glory to Jehovah. Brothers and sisters, please know that we love you all very much. From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
This is JW Broadcasting.
Okay, so okay, my views. I want to talk about what I used to experience when I was younger. Was parents that were living. They didn't have an education. As far as I know, that they never had an education. They worked when they were younger. Then they were strict when it comes to Jehovah's Witness, being Jehovah's Witness. And they were never doing anything anymore. I cannot remember really my parents working, having education, doing anything at all. It was only about, a lot of was about Jehovah and God, going to the Kingdom Hall, and the conventions, 3-day conventions. Yeah, I cannot remember that, and I was not motivated. I was a very creative child, very naturally creative. I was very hyped up when it comes to that. Very childlike, very, very colorful. Like everything was a very magical experience when I was little. But I never got the tools. I really want to talk about this. I never got the tools when I was younger to further educate myself. I was told that I was talented, but I never learned how to like make it bigger, like make it better. I was also very stubborn when it comes to I wanted to make it my own, but in my own way, and I never listened because it was very uncommon to make it my own by the education of other people. And I was very young and I wanted to study things that were not allowed for me yet, and nobody ever helped me to get there, to make it better. I also got mental problems because of living outside of this world, and once you see how the world really is, then that is super painful. That is super painful. That I had a huge my mental state changed so drastically that I even couldn't go to school when it came to that. It was very painful. And so I couldn't, but I wanted to at some point. I was so motivated to start making clothing and learn that, and that I got a diploma for that as well. It's never that I didn't want it. It's because I never got an example. I could have been, well, in my opinion, could have been better at what I was doing than I was doing, because I was already talented. Now, and about the video, I've already been talking about it throughout the video. I'm just going to keep it short. First of all, I felt something furious coming up at some point. Like pretty early in the video, I felt a lot of people that were furious about this information because they couldn't do the education when they were younger. And now all of a sudden, of course, that's beautiful for the children now, but they couldn't do the education. And the focus on it being very risky and very dangerous, actually, and you have to focus on God is super alert. But that's also I think the thing that Jehovah's Witnesses should do is not educate people on how they should live, but on how they should like view their spirituality, or like, and there's never room to think. So yeah, education such as philosophy is almost, they're talking it down. And the topic of atheism, so theology, I said it before, theology is not a thing that the Jehovah's Witnesses would study. I don't see that happening really, because they are afraid that they're being rubbed off in the wrong way by other people. That, I think that's disgusting energy, but okay. And then later on, the anger that I got was later on changed into, I was furious about that they are really teaching people this. So now it's not allowed and now it's allowed. All of a sudden we allow this. That just, it's great. It's so bittersweet. It's great, and it's not great at all. This is very painful for a lot of people. And I see Jehovah's Witnesses leaving. This is very painful. So I think that's what I wanted to talk about. I am shocked in a sense. It makes me angry to see that people need to be educated through the governing body. And now people are allowed to have an education, which is great. But on the other hand, they are giving it in a way that is making like destructing it in the other sense. I don't know how else to say it. They're allowing it, but bringing it down at the same time. Studying is brought down because no, Jehovah first and then studying. But I guess baby steps for Jehovah's Witnesses. This is groundbreaking. Basically, it's a breakthrough. Okay, I think this is what I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna edit this video right now. I have to. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'm so appreciative of you watching my videos, and I just thank you very much. Okay, bye bye. Peace.